Hello and welcome back to another Norland news video, as patch 26 has been released. This development update has a lot of visual improvements and begins to implement some of the changes we previously talked about in our roadmap video last month, which I will link in the description. You should go watch it if you haven't already, and I'll also link the Steam announcement for this patch in the description as well for anyone who wants to read along. Before we get started, if you have been watching my content for a while and haven't subscribed, please consider doing so now, as well as ringing the bell icon so you can be notified on new uploads. On average, 90% of channel viewership is from people who aren't subscribed, and it would make a huge difference if even a small portion of that subscribed today. With that out of the way, let's get into it. The first update is also the biggest change visually and may ruffle some feathers if you are someone who doesn't like big changes to the aesthetic of games. The next time you go to the global map, you will quickly see the old map has been entirely replaced. No longer a single island-like map, there are now different types of water bodies, mountain ranges, small islands, deserts, and even an unused Arctic biome. All of the various icons have been changed for cities, villages, bandit camps, and even the Stone of Faith, which is the large stone castle in the northern part of the map, which serves as the seat of the matriarch. It looks a bit off the first time I looked at it, but has since grown on me rather quickly. It looks a lot closer to what you expect the buildings from the local map to look like when zoomed out further, which I do like a lot. Most areas of the map have been given toponyms, such as the Forbidden Isle for an island in the middle of the Sacred Lake, which are both near the Stone of Faith. This will be nice as a content creator to more easily be able to explain what I'm trying to show viewers, rather than just saying near that city or something to that effect. Cities have also been renamed to align closer with their cultures, which gives different cultural areas more distinct vibes, which I also love. The map appears much bigger in size, but it appears to still be sporting just 24 cities, which is my favorite way of increasing the scope of the game. Hopefully they increase the amount of cities, because otherwise the map size increase seems to be just for the appearance of a larger game. One other change here that I'm on the fence about is that when zooming out completely, you get a political view, which I can only really describe as the way Crusader Kings 3 displays realms when zoomed out. I'm not a big fan of this, mainly because the map just isn't big enough to make this necessary, and the borders we were limited to previously typically worked fine if they weren't too close in color scheme to the neighbors. Hopefully the developer will add a way to turn this off in the settings soon. In old saves, the map and city names remain unchanged, but you will get the new icons and political views. Overall, I can only give this aspect of the update about a 7 out of 10. That's because it has the appearance of adding a lot, but in practice I feel that it will just make actions on the global map feel a little more tedious, especially over longer campaigns. It does look amazing, however I prefer function over form in these earlier stages of a game that has a lot of content needs already. Also, full disclosure, but this appears to be the update that was previously billed as new continent maps, which I misunderstood as meaning new additional maps, but appears to have really been a replacement for the original one. On the other hand, local maps and starting buildings have been changed quite a lot. Mostly there seems to be some decorations added, the hall isn't pre-built so you can choose the best initial spot, and you get a field and some additional starting roads. The big criticism I have here is that local maps seem to have even more large and uncrossable lakes. In the end, you have a little bit of help, but a huge chunk of your land is made completely unusable. I don't think this change was necessary at all, and without some sort of a bridge system takes away a lot of what makes the local map game fun, which is being able to design your city exactly how you want. You get blocked in way too easily as well. 4 out of 10 for this part of the update, since it's mostly unnecessary changes and they really hurt the gameplay rather than adding to it. Now, to get away from some of the aspects that I'm being so negative about, we finally have the Dynasty tree. This tree includes all branches of your dynasty, even if they include bastard children. You can also view the trees for your neighbors if there is any intermarriage between them. This was a must-have update that I've been waiting on for a while now, since it can be pretty difficult to find parents of children easily. 10 out of 10. Would wait 2 months for this update again. On to another great and needed change is a small overhaul to the knowledge system. Teenagers can now use the wise conversation interaction and will absorb knowledge quicker than adults. This just makes sense, feels realistic, and makes the wise conversation feel genuinely worth doing. Previously, I almost never made any use of it, as it felt better to make use of my lords to keep things afloat up until their deaths, and then relearn knowledge as necessary with their heirs. Wise conversations also continue on their own until stopped manually, rather than being a one-off like before. Knowledge is also retained for a certain amount of time after the death of the character possessing it, allowing more time to pass it on. This is obviously somewhat unrealistic, but I chalk it up to a peasant or two having insight into the methods the lord was using, and your new lords being able to pick it up that way. Finally, there will be more warnings for one character having too much knowledge that no one else knows. Overall, another 10 out of 10 update that turns a mechanic I had no interest in before into something that is almost essential to make use of now. Next, I wanted to talk about something I glossed over in the previous update video, mostly because there wasn't a ton of information at the time. The Unique Guests update came to the main branch of the game in patch 25 and has exceeded my expectations in a big way. I wasn't sure they would have added much diversity with such a short amount of time since the release, but the developers clearly were cooking this change up for a while. Unique visitors essentially work just like Lord visits work, showing up randomly and allowing unique interactions. Without going through all of them, there are guests such as the Jester that entertains your populace and my personal favorite, the Dog Seller, which allows you to purchase a dog that you can spend time with for a mood boost. Patch 26 has added a couple of new ones to the mix, including Holy Pilgrims and Archons of the Dead God, allowing absolution of sins and sacrificial rituals, respectively. These should allow new ways of dealing with sinful lords, and sacrificial rituals gives off some major RimWorld vibes, accidental or not. 8 out of 10 for something I didn't know I needed, but will surely play some kind of a role in every campaign from now on. With the main changelog out of the way, let's go over the last bit of the patch, which is more or less a collection of balance tweaks and bug fixes. Peasants will now be able to purchase medicine at the market in order to give it to prisoners. I believe this was restricted to the warden of a prison before. Unholy Horde now always spawns in the province furthest from the player, which should make this challenge a bit easier for those brave enough to try it. Global map labels should now scale up in size when zooming out to make them easier to read. Wise Conversation cooldown is now 12 hours instead of 18 hours. Some unspecified traits are now less detrimental on easy and medium difficulty, and the coward trait lasts for only 10 days. Well, that just about covers everything in the development update this time around. As for the current Macaw playthrough, don't expect the changes to pop up there until part 18, as I recorded all previous episodes prior to the update since I won't be able to record anything this weekend. I think that's all I've got for you all in this one, but just a quick reminder to consider subscribing and liking the video if you're getting anything valuable from this video or from my gameplay series. I'll keep bringing these videos out if I see anything in the roadmaps or other communications from the developers that piques my interest. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.